Based on Teledyne SeaTac's industry standard ASX 500 series automation, the SimPrep is an offline automated liquid handling station that can deliver volume-to-volume sample dilution and spiking processes. The SimPrep can significantly improve the efficiency of the analytical workflow in your laboratory. The best way to understand how the SimPrep works is to see it in action. You'll be familiar with the standard workflow for a typical trace element laboratory that operates ICP-OES and ICP-MS instrumentation. Samples are received, logged, labeled, and prepared. Typically, this involves a degree of dilution. The samples are organized into a batch with blanks, calibration standards, and quality control standards and introduced into an analytical instrument. Data is generated and processed, and a report is produced for the interpretation. In this workflow, it is the preparation process where efficiency can be improved, as this is monotonous and usually the time required is underestimated. So, we are going to concentrate on the dilution and spiking processes to prepare samples, standards, blanks, and QC samples. Let's consider a common method used for trace element determination in water samples. Ultimately, these methods involve the dilution of samples by a common dilution factor, for example 10 times, and the dilution and spiking of the appropriate media, such as 1% nitric acid, for the preparation of calibration standards, so that a number of elements can be measured per sample. Here is our solution, the SimPrep. The SimPrep system is based on either a 2-rack ASX 280 autosampler or a 4-rack ASX 560 autosampler. The SimPrep has 3 key components: the central automation, a syringe pump module with 2 pumps, and a piece of operating software. We connect a syringe pump module to this for taking up sample aliquots from one sample tube and delivering that aliquot to another sample tube, along with the desired volume of dilution media. This is all controlled by software on your computer. Let's see this in action for a simple sample dilution. Here you can see a sample tube containing a blue liquid. The sample probe of the ASX 560 autosampler moves to the sample and takes up an aliquot under the control of a small syringe on the syringe pump module. The larger syringe on the syringe pump module takes up the appropriate volume of diluting media. The sample probe then moves to an empty sample tube position and delivers the sample and the diluting media. The sample probe is washed between each sampling process so there is no cross-contamination. Simple. If you have a full rack of samples to dilute, you can undertake this process as many times as needed. The same processes can be applied to the preparation of a calibration standard or sample spiking. We can also dispense media for sample blanks. Now let's compare a manual preparation and the SimPrep system. On the right, a laboratory staff member is preparing some calibration standards with a series of pipettes, where aliquots of multi-element standard are taken and diluted to a final volume. Next, they undertake a simple 10 times dilution of 60 samples from one sample rack, and these are dispensed into the other sample rack. On the left, the SimPrep is undertaking this process. For the sake of time, we'll speed this up until the full rack of samples and the standards have all been prepared. You'll see this takes approximately 45 minutes. But with the SimPrep, you can walk away and perform other tasks. And from a cost-saving standpoint, you aren't throwing away all those pipette tips. This is just one sample rack, so imagine how much time you can save if you're preparing 4 sample racks for an analysis with a 4-rack capacity autosampler, or 8 racks for an 8-rack autosampler. It's obvious the SimPrep can save you time and money. So the question is, what are you going to do while your SimPrep does the work for you?